It takes no more effort to think big than to think small. These words from Napoleon Hill are not just advice. They are a challenge. A call to break free from the mental cages we build around ourselves. Imagine this. The same energy you use to worry, to doubt, to play it safe, could be used to dream wildly and act boldly. Why spend your life building a cage when you could be designing a kingdom? Most people tiptoe through life, aiming low, not because they lack potential, but because they've been trained to fear their own greatness. But here's the truth. Small thinking is just as exhausting as big thinking. It just leads to smaller results and deeper regrets. Think of the person who plays it safe at work, settling for a predictable raise instead of risking the leap toward leadership and legacy. Or the dreamer who opens a small local shop, knowing deep down they were meant to build a brand that spans continents. These aren't stories of failure. They're stories of untapped greatness, buried beneath layers of fear, comfort, and realism. And let's be honest, you've felt it, haven't you? That quiet ache in your chest. The whisper that says, you're made for more. It's not your job to shrink for the world's approval. It's your duty to expand, to grow, to rise beyond your own imagined limits. So why not dare? Why not think bigger, bolder, brighter? If it takes the same effort, why not aim for extraordinary? Because every big dream starts in the same place. A thought, a belief, a bold refusal to stay small. Your mind is a magnet. What you focus on, you attract. If you think small, life shrinks to match your vision. But when you think big, life begins to open up in ways you never expected. Doors appear where walls once stood. Napoleon Hill didn't just write theory. He laid out a blueprint. And that blueprint begins with belief. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Let that echo through every decision you make from this moment forward. Small dreams won't ignite your soul. Big ones will keep you up at night, burning with purpose, electrified by possibility. So I'll ask you directly, why settle for a quiet life when you were born to be a force of nature? The difference between ordinary and extraordinary? It starts in your mind. And your mind is waiting for permission to go bigger. Give it that permission. Start today. Think bigger than you ever have, and then act like your future depends on it. Now, let's explore why so many of us aren't thinking big in the first place. One major barrier is waiting for motivation to strike, as if inspiration is some magical force that will suddenly make everything clear. People often delay their grand visions, thinking, I'll start when I feel ready. But that moment never comes, trapping them in a cycle of small, safe ideas. Napoleon Hill would remind us that motivation isn't a prerequisite. It's a byproduct of action, as he said. Procrastination in thought breeds procrastination in deed. For instance, someone might postpone dreaming about a career pivot because they don't feel confident enough, perpetuating a limited worldview. This waiting game robs you of the excitement and momentum that big thinking brings. Another reason is the failure to decide, where indecision paralyzes your ambition before it even begins. You might sense bigger possibilities on the horizon, but overanalyzing or fearing the unknown keeps you rooted in the familiar. Hill emphasized the power of a definite purpose, warning that without clear decisions, small thinking becomes your default path. Take the aspiring author who sticks to journaling instead of writing a full book, overwhelmed by the idea of committing to a grand theme. It's heartbreaking how this hesitation leads to missed opportunities and a life that feels half-lived. And then there's fear and uncertainty. those invisible enemies that make thinking small seem like the only safe choice. Fear of failure, ridicule, or simply stepping outside your comfort zone can make your heart race and your dreams shrink. Yet, as Hill taught, mastering fear is about mindset. It's no more effortful to visualize success than to dwell on failure. Imagine someone terrified of starting a business, convinced they'll crash and burn, when in reality, that same mental energy could fuel a vision of triumph. Unaddressed, this fear cements a pattern of underachievement, stealing the joy and fulfillment you deserve. But don't lose hope. There's a solution, and it starts with immediate action toward big thinking. The power of action is transformative. Just as Hill advocated, taking that first step generates the momentum you need. Shifting from small to big thinking doesn't demand more effort. It's about reframing your habits and embracing expansive goals. For example, visualize achieving financial independence and act on it, even if imperfectly, to build unstoppable energy. Think of it like this. Just as a small seed can grow into a mighty tree with the same nurturing effort, your bold ideas can flourish with consistent care. This shift will awaken a sense of freedom you've been craving, turning doubt into determination. Next, building decisiveness is key. Make firm decisions to embrace those big visions without endless delay. Hill's principle of definite decisions shows us how to do this. Start by identifying a current small goal, like saving for a vacation, and scale it up to something massive, like saving for early retirement. Try this tip. Set a 24-hour rule for committing to a big idea, stopping overthinking in its tracks and propelling you forward. When you decide boldly, you'll feel an emotional rush, like breaking through a barrier to a brighter future. And remember, practicing, the first step, is where real change begins. Act right away with something manageable that embodies big thinking. If you want to launch a side business, brainstorm 3 ambitious ideas in the next 5 minutes. It's that simple start that ignites the flame. As Hill believed, action creates clarity, so don't wait for ideal conditions. Begin now, and the path will unfold before you. Now, let's tackle overcoming hesitation and fear, because facing them head-on is the fastest way to break free. Directly confronting your fears erodes those barriers, just as Hill suggested through autosuggestion, or positive self-talk to rewire your mind. Instead of letting fear of failure in a big endeavor hold you back, visualize success vividly and watch your hesitation melt away. Try this exercise. Journal daily affirmations about your ambitious goals, like, I am capable of building a thriving business, and feel the emotional weight lift. Remember, facing fear is no more effortful than avoiding it. It's a choice that leads to authenticity and growth. Learning through failure is another crucial piece. Setbacks aren't the end, but stepping stones, as per Hill's philosophy. Think of stories like Elon Musk's ventures, where failures paved the way for groundbreaking success, teaching us that big thinking embraces risks. This mindset shift means accepting failure as part of the process, using the same mental energy to learn and rise rather than dwell on regrets. When you do this, you'll discover a profound sense of freedom, turning what was once a source of pain into a path of empowerment. Moving forward, cultivating self-discipline is the true key to sustaining big thinking and turning visions into reality. Hill viewed discipline as the foundation of achievement, noting that it requires no more effort to discipline yourself toward a big goal than a small one. For instance, dedicating daily time to skill building for a grand ambition feels just as routine as tackling everyday tasks, but it builds a reliable structure for success. Without discipline, your big ideas remain dreams, but with it, they become your lived reality, filling you with a deep sense of purpose. To build positive habits that support expansive thinking, start with daily goal visualization, time blocking for ambitious projects, and regular self-review. Here's an actionable step. Embark on a 30-day challenge to swap small thinking habits, like mindless scrolling, with big thinking ones, such as reading inspirational books. As Hill emphasized, persistence in these habits makes big thinking effortless over time, fostering an emotional resilience that feels liberating. Finally, developing a clear vision and goals is what truly fuels your journey, drawing from Hill's concept of a definite chief aim. Crystal clear, ambitious goals direct your energy without added effort, creating intrinsic motivation that vague or small goals never can. For example, defining a bold objective like build $1 million business instead of earn a little extra income ignites a passion that propels you forward. To make this practical, follow this step-by-step process. First, define a specific, measurable big goal. Second, break it into smaller actions, like outlining chapters for a best-selling book. And third, track your progress weekly to keep the momentum alive. This approach is scalable and rewarding, using the same effort as planning small goals, but unlocking doors to a more authentic life. As we wrap up, let's reaffirm the essence of our topic. It takes no more effort to think big than to think small, as Napoleon Hill so wisely taught. Remember, action and mindset are the catalysts. Motivation and success will follow when you choose big thinking, not the other way around. So, here's your urgent call to action. Take one step right now toward that bold vision. Write down your biggest goal. Share it with someone, and watch your world expand in ways you never thought possible. As Napoleon Hill once proclaimed, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. This leads us directly to our core idea. It takes no more effort to think big than to think small. In a world buzzing with possibilities, many of us fall into the trap of limiting our dreams. Picture the professional who settles for a modest raise, ignoring the promotion that could transform their career. Or the entrepreneur envisioning only a local shop, when a global empire waits just beyond their hesitation. These scenarios reflect a common mindset of thinking small, where self-imposed boundaries stifle our potential. The emotional weight of this choice is heavy. Stagnation creeps in, regret builds, and unfulfilled dreams haunt us. Yet, deep down, we sense that bigger opportunities are within reach. Why do we cling to these limitations when the effort to dream larger is no greater? It's time to shift our mindset, as Hill urged, because action and vision, not circumstances, shape our destiny. Without this change, we remain stuck in mediocrity, watching life pass by without seizing its vast potential. So, I ask you, if thinking big requires no extra effort, why not aim for the stars? Now, let's explore why so many of us aren't thinking big in the first place. One major barrier is waiting for motivation to strike before even envisioning grand goals. We tell ourselves we'll start dreaming big when we feel fully inspired or confident. But as Hill pointed out, motivation isn't a prerequisite. It's a byproduct of taking action. Procrastination in thought leads to procrastination in deed, trapping us in a cycle of small thinking. For instance, someone might delay pivoting their career because they don't feel ready, perpetuating limitations. This waiting game drains our energy and keeps us from exploring what could be. Another obstacle is the failure to decide on our true potential. Indecisiveness paralyzes ambition, as we overanalyze and fear the unknown. Hill emphasized the power of a definite purpose, yet without it, small thinking becomes a default. Take the aspiring author who sticks to journaling instead of committing to a full book. The overwhelm of choosing a grand theme holds them back, missing out on extraordinary opportunities. Fear and uncertainty compound this issue, making bold visions seem too risky. We're often gripped by the dread of failure, ridicule, or stepping into unfamiliar territory. These emotions make thinking small feel safer, leading to a life of underachievement. As Hill taught, mastering fear is key. It's no more effortful to visualize success than to dwell on failure. For example, anxiety about launching a business stems from uncertainty, but overcoming it unlocks new heights. If we don't address these fears, they solidify into habits that rob us of our potential. The solution lies in immediate action toward big thinking, just as Hill advocated. Shifting from small to big doesn't demand more effort. It's about reframing your mental habits. Start by visualizing expansive goals, like achieving financial independence, and act on them right away. Even imperfect steps build momentum, turning hesitation into progress. Think of it like a seed. With the same nurturing, it can grow into a mighty tree instead of a mere sprout. Building decisiveness is crucial. Make firm decisions to embrace those big visions without delay. Draw from Hill's principle. Identify a small goal, like saving for a vacation, and scale it up to something massive, like early retirement. A simple tip: set a 24-hour rule. Commit to a big idea within a day to avoid overthinking. This decisiveness propels you forward, transforming vague dreams into tangible plans. Now, practice the first step by acting immediately on a manageable task that embodies big thinking. If you want to launch a side business, brainstorm 3 ambitious ideas in the next 5 minutes. As Hill believed, action creates clarity. The path to big thinking unfolds as you move. Don't wait for ideal conditions. Begin now and watch your confidence soar. Overcoming hesitation and fear is the next vital step in this journey. Face your fears head-on, as they erode faster through direct confrontation than passive reflection. Hill's concept of autosuggestion, positive self-talk, can rewire your mind for success. Instead of fearing failure in a big endeavor, visualize triumph to diminish doubt. Try a practical exercise. Journal daily affirmations about your ambitious goals to build resilience. Remember, facing fear takes no more effort than avoiding it, but the rewards are immeasurable. Learning through failure is another powerful tool in your arsenal. Setbacks aren't defeats. They're stepping stones, as Hill's philosophy reminds us. Look at stories like Elon Musk's ventures. Failures led to groundbreaking innovations. This mindset shift means accepting that failure is part of pursuing grand visions. It takes the same mental energy to learn from setbacks as it does to regret small choices. Embrace this, and you'll find that big thinking strengthens with every challenge. Cultivating self-discipline is the true key to sustaining this expansive mindset. As Hill viewed it, discipline, not fleeting motivation, forms the foundation of achievement. Directing your efforts toward a big goal, like daily skill building, requires no more energy than routine tasks. Through consistent habits, big visions become reality, creating a reliable structure for success. Start building positive habits today. Visualize your goals daily, block time for ambitious projects, and review your progress regularly. Here's an actionable step. Launch a 30-day challenge. Replace scrolling social media with reading inspirational books. Hill stressed persistence, and these habits make big thinking effortless over time. Developing a clear vision and goals will further fuel your progress. Crystal clear, ambitious goals, as Hill described in his definite chief aim, keep big thinking alive. Contrast this with vague or small goals, defining something bold, like building $1 million business, directs your energy effectively. This clarity sparks intrinsic motivation, making the process as straightforward as planning smaller objectives. To operationalize this, follow a step-by-step process. First, define a specific, measurable big goal. Second, break it into smaller actions. For instance, if your goal is to write a best-selling book, start by outlining chapters. Third, track your progress weekly to maintain momentum, ensuring that big thinking yields greater rewards than ever before. In conclusion, let's reaffirm Napoleon Hill's timeless wisdom. It takes no more effort to think big than to think small. Remember, action and mindset are the catalysts. Motivation and success will follow when you embrace expansive visions. As Hill said, set your mind on a definite goal and observe how quickly the world stands aside to let you pass. So I challenge you, take one immediate step toward big thinking today. Write down that bold goal or share it with someone. Don't let another day slip away in the confines of small thoughts. Start now and watch your world expand. For more inspiration, dive into Hill's works like Think and Grow Rich to keep this momentum going. You've got the power within you. It's time to unleash it. Imagine the life you could lead when big thinking becomes your norm. No more settling. Step into the extraordinary. Every great achievement began with a single, bold thought. Make yours count today. As Napoleon Hill once said, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And this leads us directly to the profound truth. It takes no more effort to think big than to think small. In our daily lives, many of us fall into the trap of thinking small, limiting our dreams to what's immediately achievable. Picture the professional who settles for a modest raise, never pushing for that promotion that could transform their career. Or the entrepreneur who envisions only a local shop, ignoring the potential for a global empire. This mindset breeds stagnation, leaving us with a nagging sense of regret and unfulfilled potential. We know deep down that bigger possibilities exist, yet we hold back, trapped in self-imposed boundaries. But why settle for mediocrity when the effort to dream larger is no greater? Napoleon Hill teaches us that our circumstances don't dictate our success, our mindset does. Without shifting to big thinking, we remain stuck, watching opportunities slip away. So, I ask you, if thinking big requires no extra effort, why not aim for the stars? One major reason we're not thinking big is that we wait for motivation to strike before even envisioning grand goals. We convince ourselves that we need to feel fully inspired or confident first. This leads to endless delays, like postponing a career pivot until we feel ready. Hill reminds us that motivation isn't a prerequisite, it's a byproduct of action. Procrastination in thought only breeds procrastination in deed, keeping us in a cycle of small thinking. For instance, someone might dream of writing a novel but stick to journaling because they don't feel motivated enough to start big. This hesitation robs us of momentum and keeps our visions confined. Another barrier is our failure to decide, allowing indecision to paralyze our ambitions. We overanalyze possibilities, fearing the unknown, and end up defaulting to small goals. Hill's concept of a definite purpose shows that without clear decisions, we miss out on extraordinary opportunities. Take the aspiring author who hesitates to commit to a grand theme, opting instead for safe, routine writing. This indecisiveness chains us to mediocrity, making big thinking seem overwhelming. Fear and uncertainty further compound the problem, making small thinking feel like a safe haven. We're afraid of failure, ridicule, or stepping out of our comfort zone, so we shrink our dreams. Hill teaches that mastering fear is about mindset. It's no more effortful to visualize success than to dwell on failure. For example, starting a business might seem terrifying, but that anxiety stems from uncertainty we can overcome. If left unaddressed, this fear cements a pattern of underachievement, stealing our true potential. The solution lies in immediate action toward big thinking, as Hill advocated, to generate real momentum. Shifting from small to big thinking doesn't demand more effort. It's simply about reframing your mental habits. Imagine visualizing expansive goals, like achieving financial independence, and taking the first steps right away. Just as a small seed can grow into a mighty tree with consistent nurturing, big thinking starts with one bold idea. Building decisiveness is key. Make firm decisions to embrace those grand visions without delay. Hill's principle of definite decisions suggests starting by identifying a small goal and scaling it up. For instance, if you're saving for a vacation, decide instead to aim for early retirement. It's the same planning effort. Try a simple tip. Set a 24-hour rule to commit to a big idea, preventing overthinking from taking over. Practicing the first step means acting immediately, even if it's something small that embodies big thinking. If you want to launch a side business, brainstorm 3 ambitious ideas in the next 5 minutes. As Hill believed, action creates clarity, so don't wait for ideal conditions. Begin now. Overcoming hesitation and fear requires directly confronting them, rather than letting them linger. Hill's advice on autosuggestion, or positive self-talk, can rewire your mind to embrace big goals. Instead of fearing failure in a major endeavor, visualize success daily to diminish that hesitation. A practical exercise. Journal daily affirmations about your ambitious dreams, making it a habit that's no more effortful than worrying. This way, facing fear becomes a tool for growth, not a barrier. Learning through failure is another crucial step, as Hill's philosophy shows that setbacks are stepping stones. Think of stories like Elon Musk's ventures, where failures in grand pursuits led to incredible innovations. A mindset shift is needed. Thinking big means accepting failure as part of the process, and it takes the same mental energy to learn from it as to regret small choices. By reframing failures, you turn them into fuel for bigger achievements. Cultivating self-discipline is the true key to sustaining big thinking, as Hill emphasized. It's not about sporadic motivation. It's about consistent habits that turn visions into reality. Disciplining yourself toward a big goal, like daily skill building, requires no more effort than routine tasks. This discipline creates a reliable structure that supports expansive thinking over time. To build positive habits, start with daily goal visualization, time blocking for ambitious projects, and regular self-reviews. Here's an actionable step. Launch a 30-day challenge to replace small thinking habits, like mindless scrolling, with big thinking ones, such as reading inspirational books. Hill's emphasis on persistence means these habits make big thinking feel effortless eventually. Developing a clear vision and goals is essential, as Hill described with his definite chief aim. Ambitious, crystal clear goals fuel big thinking and keep progress steady. Contrast this with vague or small goals. Defining something bold, like building $1 million business, directs your energy without added effort. This clarity sparks intrinsic motivation, making the pursuit exciting and sustainable. To operationalize big thinking, follow this step-by-step process. First, define a specific, measurable big goal. Second, break it into smaller actions. For example, if your goal is to write a best-selling book, start by outlining chapters. Third, track your progress weekly to maintain momentum. It's the same effort as planning small goals, but with greater rewards. By scaling this process, you'll see how big thinking becomes a natural part of your routine. In conclusion, as Napoleon Hill taught, it takes no more effort to think big than to think small. Remember, action and mindset are the catalysts. Motivation and success will follow once you embrace big thinking. Set your mind on a definite goal and observe how quickly the world stands aside to let you pass. Now, I challenge you. Take one immediate step toward big thinking today, like writing down a bold goal or sharing it with someone. Don't let another day pass in the confines of small thoughts. Start now and watch your world expand. For more inspiration, dive into Hill's works and let this mindset shift transform your life forever.